Places like this one have turned Berlin into Europe's clubbing capital. But now a lot of venues are struggling. Two of the city's most famous techno clubs, Watergate and Renate, announced last year they would be closing. And Berlin's oldest gay club, Schwutz, just declared bankruptcy.
What we made in money beforehand was just fine for the cost structure that we had, but this doesn't anymore align.
There's even a German word for what's going on, Clubsterben, which translates to the death of clubs. And Clubsterben isn't just fatal for the venues themselves. For Berlin, it's putting at risk a key source of income and the city's identity.
I think Berlin without a party scene isn't Berlin anymore.
One reason clubs are struggling to make ends meet is that Berlin is changing. The city's underground club scene began booming in the 1990s. After reunification, Berlin was struggling financially, and many of its residents had left. What seemed like a wasteland to some became a blank canvas for Berlin's music pioneers.
At the beginning, all you had to do was go into a building, put a lock on the door, and it was yours because nobody knew, who was the owner. I used to walk up and down here, and there were old factory buildings that we would go into where the doors were open and you could just do a party.
That's how one of Berlin's oldest techno clubs, Tresor, was founded in the bank vault of an empty department store. Entrance was free back then. Danielle de Picciotto was working at Berlin's first techno venues at the time.
People would go into the clubs in Berlin bringing something, participating, being part of the crowd. And people, for instance, would bring things to decorate the club. Like they would bring trees, or they would bring golden frames and then take pictures of themselves wearing crazy costumes. Or they would bring paintings, or they would actively participate in making the club the most interesting place in the world.
But in recent years, Berlin has undergone significant gentrification, and Berlin is no longer free or even affordable.
It becomes really tough for those clubs who have usually a non-commercial lookout to sustain in a city where everything is just getting way more expensive.
Renate, for example, will close its doors at the end of this year because the techno club's landlord didn't renew the lease. The spaces where Berlin's clubs could once flourish are diminishing. For another popular techno club, About Blank, the city's changing landscape is causing anxiety. Berlin's Senate just approved the construction of a hotel next door.
Wir fühlen uns auf jeden Fall dadurch weggedrängt, dass wir eben dadurch, dass immer stärker bebaut wird, immer mehr mit Lärmbeschwerden und so weiter rechnen müssen und die auch bekommen natürlich.
Staying located in the heart of the city has become an ongoing battle for clubs like About Blank. Another problem is that a lot of Berlin's clubs are staying empty. Inflation and the higher cost of living are making club visits harder to afford for many. According to Berlin's Club Commission, more than half of all clubs saw a decrease in visitors last year.
Basically, it's that less people come every week. So we have people that used to come basically Friday and Saturday, or maybe one Saturday, but every week. And today it's rather that people come once a month, when maybe sometimes not even.
On top of that, the club owners we spoke to say that Gen Z are partying less than other generations. The number of young people who regularly consume alcohol is also decreasing. Katja Jäger says Schwutz is trying to adapt.
And I think what's important is not to just say the young people need to come back to nightclubs, but basically as a nightclub look into what can I offer. Say, is it a sober party in the night, or is it maybe a day event?
To stay open despite fewer ticket sales, About Blank started a crowdfunding initiative earlier this year. But with almost half of Berlin's clubs considering closing their doors, many are also calling on outside support, like better tenant protection.
Also es gibt wahnsinnig viele Kulturstätten, Theater, die finanziell unterstützt werden durch Gelder des Bundes, und das würde ich mir verstärkt auch für Clubs wünschen.
For Berlin's longtime club supporters, like Danielle, it's also on the people themselves to help keep the party alive.
Now maybe it's also the responsibility of the people that go to clubs to become part of it again and not only expect the clubs to take care of all the problems. Maybe to go back to that atmosphere that we had in the 80s is that we all do it together.